UnitedWeStart, Fighting for Freedom, a group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of a month, 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Hi, this is Detlev, Wake News Radio, Wake News TV here from Switzerland. I'm today's producer here in our fabulous first show of our UnitedWeStart initiative, UnitedWeStart Roundtable discussion. It's our first broadcast. Yeah, and I'm welcoming my friends, Alan from Ireland. Alan,
good evening, Detlev. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you are. Then Michael from Switzerland. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, great to have you. And Matt from the US. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Morning, Detlev. Morning, everyone. Glad to be here with all of you.
Yeah. So you've heard somebody said good evening, and Matt said good night. So we do have a certain time difference here. And that's why we chose this particular time to broadcast our worldwide roundtable. Yeah, I'm in charge of production today. So, maybe one or the other don't know you yet. So I would kindly ask you to present yourselves. Maybe we start with Alan again. Alan, can you say a few words to yourselves and the website and what you're doing?
Yeah, no problem, Detlev. Right, myself, Alan James. I'm one part of a duo. My co-host is Stephen George, and we run a internet radio show called Open Your Mind Radio, which is broadcast live every Sunday from 7 p.m. GMT to 9 p.m. GMT every Sunday, and we cover all aspects of everything that's going on around us. And obviously, if people want to go over to our website, they can visit us at www.oimradio.com, or if you go over to Facebook, just type in OIM Radio and you'll find us there.
Yeah, and another thing which is also fabulous, you have made a lot of effort to get our website on the UnitedWeStart.org website. So you're also doing tech stuff, right? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, basically, the three of us worked on the website. I do the web design, and the three of us worked on the content, or more so you and Matt working on the content. And then the three of us thrown in ideas as to what way the website should be designed. So a bit of tech support. At OIM Radio, we also stream our own radio show, as does Detlev, as does Matt. Capable, we're all producers, and we can all produce our own radio shows. And basically, this is just a collection of radio hosts to talk about basically everything that's going on in the world. Again, we're going to be doing this we plan to do this on a monthly basis. Once a month we'll get together, we'll have ourselves on, and we'll have different guests coming on. And we're just basically going to be a round table where we're going to throw out ideas to each other. We're going to talk about things that maybe something I might have not have heard about that Detlev might know, or Matt might know, or whatever. And we're going to throw it out there. And we're going to bounce ideas. And the whole idea is there's so much going on that we just don't know everything. And by having an international round table and getting guests on the show, it just means that we can all share this information. And instead of having, people all around the world and not knowing what's going on, we're going to have a little community online here on the show, and we're all going to share information. That's the plan of attack.
Well said. Okay, then we pass on to Michael. Michael, can you explain what you do and who you are? And he's working also for and with Wake News Radio and Wake News TV. Michael, it's your turn.
Well, I host a show every once a month, every Tuesday at the end of the month. It's called Was There Something in the German translation? Was There Something? War da was in German. But there I talk about all different issues like the occult brotherhoods, the brotherhoods of the shadow, and how these all events that take place today are interconnected and interwoven with an agenda from evil forces and from non-physical forces. I talk always about the three shadows and the three curtains. The first curtain is basically the curtain for the secret, for the CIA and these organizations, for the secret services. Then the second curtain is the secret societies. And the third curtain is the non-physical entities which are there, and they have their own agenda. And I try to find the connections, what goes on in this physical world as sort of like a mirror, which goes on behind these three curtains. So, and so I connect the events that take place in daily life, and I draw the conclusions to these three different levels.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And you can reach Michael by just emailing him to michael@wakenews.net. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, Matt, it's your turn.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Detlev. My name's Matt Navarro. I've been an internet activist for over 25 years now. I had a website called Death to the New World Order, which was the precursor to Matt Drudge and InfoWars type websites. It was rated in the top 10% or top 5% of websites at the time. And then in 2009, I joined up with UnitedWeStart.com, was a producer, founder there. My radio show is the New World Order Report, where I expose the New World Order and find ways to keep you and your family healthy in these dangerous times. And now here I'm joining up with Detlev and the others to continue that work that we did with UnitedWeStrike.com. And the idea, this is my idea, is that we educate folks, and like Alan was saying, share information so that you and your family can make better decisions in your life on how to resist tyranny. And then you can share that information with others so that they can resist tyranny. We're waking up. The planet is waking up to the fact that they're being controlled by globalist forces. And I think now is the time in humanity's history that if we don't move forward in resisting this and being active in gaining our freedoms back, then we will fall into utter tyranny in the globalist mindset, or in the globalist control. And so we have to continue this work. And I think we're making a difference, and I hope you can too.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Matt. And just a few words to myself, or about myself. I'm here producing from Switzerland, so I'm based in Switzerland. I'm German, as a matter of fact. I do speak a little English, so that's why I'm part of the group, right? And I do have my German-speaking shows here at Wake News Radio, which is an internet radio twice a week. For an hour, and also producing for TV purposes and videos on our wakeness.tv channel. So we are also trying to get our friends or co-people, if you want to, from Europe in German speaking into the new way how to deal with the globalists who are tyrannizing us since quite some time. So, and I'm part of this initiative here from the very beginning. And I also used to work with the guys on UnitedWeStrike.com from the very beginning. But we let's say, we changed now to United We Start. So United We Strike is over. Now United We Start, because we have to look forward, right? Is that correct?
That's
Indeed.
correct. And I'd just like to add, Detlev, you're doing the all the work tonight. You're doing the hosting of the show, so a big thank you for doing that, and well done, and all the work you're doing with Wake News as well. And it was time for a change, I suppose, and that's what we did. We've made a change from UnitedWeStrike to UnitedWeStart, and as Matt, I just agree with Matt on the fact that people are beginning to wake up. The energies on the planet are changing. And so many people are beginning to realize what's going on and ask questions. We're seeing an awful lot of that now. And this is just another step to get international people together in one room, one virtual room, and share information and put it out there. And again, thanks, Detlev, for you doing the hosting. And again, Michael, I'm not familiar with Michael's background, so I'm learning as Michael's on the show tonight. I didn't know Michael did his own show, so sorry I didn't mention you, Michael, there. I wasn't aware that you hosted your own show there, but there you go. That's part of the learning.
Well, that's no problem. We learn from each other. That's wonderful, actually.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention for our audience at 11:30 Pacific time, we were hoping to be able to hook up with Sheriff Richard Mack from Arizona. He's running for Congress now, and I thought it would be he would be a great guest to have on the show because he's been a warrior for freedom and liberty here in America, and I think sharing his views with our international audience would be a great start to our programming.
Oh, absolutely. That's very, very interesting and very, very positive. And this is also our plan. We want to invite people who are coming onto our show, right, onto our roundtable discussion show, so we can share even more information from many other participants. So everybody who's listening who wants to join us in discussion, you can send us an email to uws@wakenews.net. That's our email. That comes directly to me, so I can get in touch with you. So just don't hesitate. Just go forward if you have to tell a message.
And also, can I add there, Detlev, to just let people know who are listening at the moment that if they want to interact with us and ask questions, they can go along to the website, UnitedWeStart.org, and go into the chat room. You don't have to type a password. You can just go in and type in the name and select on the button guest, and you'll be able to log into the chat room and be part of the chat and the conversations.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And also we will have rebroadcasting after each show. So if you miss something during the live event, you can still listen to it after the show. And we will also have videos available from the show after we have finished it. Okay, so why don't we get started? Alan, why don't you pick up the pieces and start with a matter which is very important in your mind?
Okay, well, I don't know whether you guys have heard. We had Thomas Williams on our show, and Thomas has some great information. He's a spokesman for a group called the Foundation. It's a long story, but basically what was announced last week was that America was declared a sovereign nation, which means all contracts from the Crown are null and void. The paperwork, the declaration was given to Donald Trump. It was given to him last Saturday, the 27th, it was given to him on Saturday 27th, a couple of weeks ago. And they've actually accepted the declaration from the Foundation. So hopefully you're going to see, America is going to see a lot of changes. That means that there's only two countries in the world which are sovereign, which is the Kingdom of Mana, which is down near Papua New Guinea, and America. And there's 120 odd other countries who have expressed an interest in becoming sovereign. So that was a major announcement. Now, obviously, the powers to be and the cabal are going to try and slow things down. And apparently, Kissinger was in the White House stopping things from moving again. But, you know, you can't stop something that's going downhill. It's very hard to stop it. So, Matt, I don't know whether you heard about that, but if people want to go over and check it out after this show, you can go over to Thomas Williams' Truth, Honor, Integrity show, and his show is in there where he reads out the declaration which was given to Donald Trump, and they've accepted it. So hopefully people in the States. I mean, this is major. This is major. And this will be the ripples in the pond will go across to other countries and Europe and countries in Europe and Ireland and Switzerland, Germany, the whole lot. And hopefully this will be, we the aim of the game is that it's going to be change for the better. So I'll just pass it around if you guys, if you have heard about it. If not, give me your opinion on what you think. And I'd go off to Matt first because Matt, you're in the States.
Yeah, I've not heard of this. I've not heard of this foundation. Maybe you can fill me in of what this foundation is and who they are, because I am suspect of this type of reporting. I keep my ear close to the ground, and I've not heard of this. So maybe you can fill us in on that one.
Yeah, I can send you a link and you can have a listen. Now, we've had Thomas as a guest on our show on multiple occasions, and we've known Thomas since about March 2016, and he's got very, very good integrity. I have to give him that. And he's been threatened and he's been attacked by people and all that kind of stuff. And there's no problem being an open-minded skeptic. I totally agree. Let's see what happens. Let's see if what's being declared with the declaration, if changes are made in the States and if that ripple takes on. I mean, proof is in the pudding, right? So let's see what happens. So I'll send you a link to that. But I don't know if you want to pass it around, Detlev or Michael, if you want to jump in and give us your feedback or comments on that.
Yeah, well, I've heard about it. I've read about it, but I'm also a little skeptical. But it could happen. Because it's the fact. I mean, the U.S. At least, I mean, the ruling government are always from the U.S. corporation, so they are basically just doing corporate work. It's not the republic which is operating from Washington D.C. So that is clear to everybody since we woke up. So it is I'm very curious about this matter, and there are many people who are aware of the fact, and I appreciate any movement in this direction. So that's my point of view for the time being, not knowing.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, I am really skeptical about this, and I've heard this guy before, and I've not been his greatest advocate. I'll put it that way, put it nicely, but. When he says the U.S. is a sovereign country, yes, we are. But until we get rid of the Federal Reserve banking system and start nationalizing our monetary system, we still will be slaves to international bankers. So this sovereignty idea is to me nonsensical. Really, it is.
Well, the Federal Reserve is going to be shut down. The Federal Reserve is no more. The contract with the Federal Reserve was up in 2012 because it was 100 years. So that's gone. And also the
Congress renewed it, though.
Well, as I say, the best thing to do is listen to Thomas's show. He has all the details in the show and he goes into detail with it. So that would be the best thing. And then do your research after that and then see what you think yourself. The inland revenue. Or who's your tax people over in America, Matt?
Internal Revenue Service, and they are actually not a part of the government as well, like the Federal Reserve System. They are a armed army of tax collectors. This is what they are, and
this is right. And a lot of the funding in America, all the taxes collected are not even for America. It goes to the Crown. Yes. And then obviously it goes to the politicians and private black projects and all that kind of stuff. So only a small percentage of the taxes collected actually goes to the people. So that's apparently all going to change. Apparently, we have the same issue here over in Ireland that we've had the tax on your labour is voluntary, and if you look at the history of Ireland, you'll understand that white tax is voluntary. It was never put into law. So, and we actually have a document of a speech that was done by the head of the Inland Revenue at the time, a lady called Josephine Feely, who says in the speech 3 times that the Irish people are taxed by consent. Now, if the inland revenue person turns around, the head of the inland revenue turns around and says, we are taxed by consent, I'd like to think that she knows her job. So I'm kind of saying, well, when did I give the government, the Irish government, the consent to tax me? I never agreed to it.
Yeah.
And of course, you guys have seen the Aaron Russo Freedom to Fascism the documentary, and you guys can take it from there and jump in.
Yeah, well, talking about taxes, I mean, over here in Switzerland as well as in Germany and Austria as well, that's what I know. The tax laws are invalid. So, especially in Germany, that what we call Germany is not the German Reich as it used to be, but the German Reich is still there. So the people who are currently running the German Federal Republic are basically just administrators of the victors of the last World War. So especially they are working for the U.S. government. So they never were able to implement a tax law. The tax laws, which are still cited here in Germany, for instance, are from the Hitler's Reich, so from Hitler's empire. And this was absolutely invalid because Hitler was beaten and was the Third Reich was actually terminated, if you want to. But they still proceed to rule us on that matter, like Hitler did. So so there's no valid law for taxation. The same thing in Switzerland. Switzerland is also not a real sovereign nation. It is a corporation. It's nothing else. And Austria is the same thing. So they're all corporations and not nations. And
that's right.
Corporation is not able to get taxes from people. I mean, this is invalid, as a matter of fact. But
it's supposed to be voluntary for us to pay taxes here in the United States as well. But try not to pay your taxes. You'll have IRS agents show up at your door with guns saying, "Hey, we're taking you to jail now." Yeah.
You've got the SWAT team. That's the same thing as here. So they're very brutal. But the taxes are not for the people. The taxes are to pay something else, but not for us. Yeah, but Michael, what's your point of view?
Michael? Well, I think taxes are illegal. I mean, it's a free gift. If somebody passes a basket around for some project, some issue, for a matrix, and is demanding money for that and the style of living for that and for the elite, that is all a perfectly liberal, free thing. But I mean, they cannot force it from the people. So I think that taxation should be abolished completely. I anyhow think this whole system should be abolished. I don't believe in any of this system at all. I think one should completely start a new life, basically go backwards to the original time where people were working together with sympathy, no contracts, but only on confidence. So that might sound radical, but I think that's the only the only solution out of this hellish infrastructure that we're in. I think this whole system is corrupt, full of evil, and we have to do a radical change.
Yeah.
Yep. So what my understanding is about American history is that we are a corporation, like Detlev was mentioning about Germany and Switzerland. The Act of 1871, Congress created the District of Columbia, but by doing so, they created a corporate version of the United States of America, so that now our original Constitution, which made us a sovereign country, is now a corporation. And that's why you see here in America these outrageous abuses of what we think is our constitutional rights, because they don't exist. because we have a corporate version of that, and the law system, the legal system, as our friend who Charles Irwin would say, is unlawful. It's a legal fiction. So we need to eliminate the Act of 1871 to become a sovereign country again, and to re-lawfulize our judicial system.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we have to support people like Sheriff Mack, who have the courage to stand against this abuse of the rights of the people.
Right, and he'll be talking about that when we get him on. He's a real go-getter, and I'm so glad we were able to schedule him in for today.
Yeah, but there are many people who also here in Europe who think that Donald Trump is the savior of many issues, at least. But also there's criticism about Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has made a few good things for America, for Americans, but we don't see any change in terms of conquering the world. It's still going on. I mean, Far East, World War III is blinking, and or the Middle East, or the buildup of military forces against Russia. This is ongoing. There has not been really a change. On the contrary, I mean, if you look at Syria, for instance, I mean, U.S. forces together with Israeli forces, they are attacking Syria, without any reason. So it is a little bit, worrying to see that Donald Trump has not really brought any change in terms of worldwide developments yet. And also, I learned that he has had a Jesuit education. So there's another hint that he might just be another one of them. And there's no relief coming from Donald Trump, at least for the world. What are your thoughts about it?
I'm in agreement with you. Domestically, he's done a great job. He's really stirred up the hornet's nest about this immigration policy of trying to lock down our borders. So that's a good thing. We have a civil war going on about that. Hopefully we can win that one. He's cut taxes. He was able to get that tax cut passed, and I personally saw in my paycheck yesterday a good chunk of change that was going to taxes that went back into my paycheck. So that was nice. He took us out of the TPP, which would have been a major blow to the U.S. economy. He took us out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement, which would have been a blow to our economy. But I am dissatisfied with his world politics, especially in Syria, where we don't belong, and we're now openly attacking Syrian forces with Israeli support. And did you guys see the Olympics opening ceremony last night?
No, I didn't.
I was so encouraged by that, because the two Koreas have a unified team, and they have athletes sharing activities like the hockey team. They have athletes from North and South Korea, and it really looks to me like the Koreans want to unify like Germany did, and I think that would be a great thing for humanity, because if they do that, then it takes away the United States war cry against the North Koreans. Now, North Korea is only building nuclear weapons as a deterrent to attack, because the United States has a habit of invading countries that don't have nuclear weapons. So, that's why they're building it. So, and I think what's going to happen is that if the Koreans want unification, we're going to see a false flag attack blamed on the North Koreans, so we can continue this war agenda. I'm seeing, if they do that, then the Koreans will pull in China, so we'll have to go to war with China, and we're building up forces in NATO around Russia so that we prevent Russians from attacking, or we can go into Russia from attacking Europe. So I don't know. I'm discouraged with Donald Trump's world policies and global policies, but I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that the Koreans can unify and somehow prevent the U.S. from starting World War III via North Korea.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Alan?
I don't think there's going to be any war. And again, I don't think it's the US. I think it's a faction. I think it's a faction war. What we've been told again is just 5 factions and they're fighting between each other. And maybe Trump, locally he's done a few things which is good, but maybe there is a level of control over Trump by one of the factions, maybe the Jesuit side, maybe. And if his life is being threatened and his family's life is being threatened, he has to be careful as well and maybe do things in stages, bit by bit. North Korea, I think that's just a bravado. I don't think anything's going to come of it over there. I think it will change down the line. The faction fighting, if you remember the Panama Papers 1 and 2, apparently we were told that was one faction exposing another faction. And there's a lot of infighting going on at the moment because the collateral accounts or the world accounts where all the money is have been locked down. They don't have any access of money. That's why they're getting desperate. They've been trying to shut down or crash the financial system. The idea being that they crash the financial system and they come up with a solution, problem, reaction, solution, and they come up with another solution, another Babylonian monetary system, and then we're off again. Well, that has to stop. So I think the whole crashing of the banking system has apparently been thwarted on a number of occasions. But yeah, I can't see. I mean, if North Korea and South Korea get together as a country, I mean, man creates the borders. There's no borders there. The borders are in our minds and what we're being told and programmed. I mean, there's no such thing as borders. One of the people who are going to be getting onto OIM in the next few weeks is, I don't know whether you guys have heard about the World Passport. And the World Passport is something that you can get. And you say you're a citizen of the world. And there's a number of countries that do accept the World Passport, that you don't actually need a passport. So that's just kind of, I don't know, like anything, we get information from other people and guests that we have in our show. We could be right, we could be wrong. We just have to see what's going on and what's going to happen. If there is going to be an attack and war, I don't think it's going to be the states. I think it's going to be the factions. It's going to be the cabal doing what they're doing, because you know how much money is made out of war. I mean, they've been doing it since World War I. The Federation, I should say the Fed got together in 1913, and in 1914 we had World War I. Let's make loads of money. The Carlyle Group is a defense contractor, and we've been having war ever since. So war makes money.
Absolutely. Well, the Rothschilds did that back in the Napoleonic Wars. They funded both sides and instigated it from both sides, and they made tons of money, and that's how they became so rich and powerful.
Exactly.
By the way, when you mentioned Rothschild, I just got the information that the Austrian Rothschild family are selling their family property in the woods. That's a fancy area which belonged to the family, I think 143 years. And it's worth, it's a huge area, like Manhattan, if you can imagine, and with fancy places on there and so forth for the, for their entertainment. So they are selling this property after 143 years for just 90 million. 90 million.
Why would they do that?
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, I have one theory if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
The theory is that they've no money. They've no money. That's why they're selling it. people think that the Rothschilds have loads of money, but they've been doing double accounting. We've been told they've been doing double accounting. The money doesn't exist. They've been, faking it for ages. And even all these people that are in hock to them, or I won't say in hock to them, but people that they owe money to, doing all the dinars and the dongs and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's all, they lied. They're not going to get paid. So the Rothschilds don't have any money. It's all been shut down and taken away from them. That's why they're selling their property, because they don't have any.
I find that hard to believe. That's one I'm having a hard time swallowing, Alan.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Look, at the end of the day, we all have different intel, and we all have it coming from different sides,
Sure.
and
that's
we
why
hear
we have this
things.
discussion.
And this is why we're here today talking about it, and we're putting it out there. And that could be wrong, it could be right. It's just what we've been told. But if you think about it, why do people sell their personal stuff a lot of the time? Because maybe they need money because they don't have any. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Rothschilds. That's what we've been told. But it follows logic for me, unless there's another reason why they're selling, their land, which they've had for 140 years. It doesn't make sense.
Michael,
if you own half the world, maybe 140 acres is just something to get rid of. You're cleaning out your closets. Well, I don't wear that shirt anymore. Let's donate that to Goodwill.
Yeah, it's just an example which came across. But Michael, what's your point of view?
Well, I think the Rothschilds have the patent of making the money. They can do it. They can create as much money as they want to, basically. I think there might be another story behind why they sell this land. It might be a practical reason, also because they might give the impression that they don't have any money, that kind of thing. They can mislead, so they can misguide through those kind of activities. I'm not sure. I cannot tell you the solution to this thing, but that they are short of money, that's for me kind of hard to believe. So
when you could create it out of nothingness, you got all the money in the world.
Well, another idea would be, that they are fearing the invasion of foreigners, migration, which will come across Austria, or they are preparing for the war, which is coming from Russia or from wherever. So that could be a reason to get rid of this area and to flee Austria, possibly. Well, we don't know. It's just a minor issue, basically, but it's a hint that something is changing. How would you sell something which has been in your possession for over 140 years? It's hard to believe, but anyway.
Well, maybe Detlev, it's easy to turn around and we can say that other Rothschilds have money, but that's just an assumption. Everything we're speculating and we're making an assumption that because we know Rothschilds and Rockefellers and it's all about money and they have the ability to create money. Well, do they? Yes, they did, but has things changed now recently where they don't have the money and they can't make money? We don't want to make any assumptions and just think that it's the same, it's the same thing that's been going on and on and on. Maybe changes have taken place where they're in a situation now where they do have to sell it for that reason. I'm just saying, as I say, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, let's keep an open mind, guys. Maybe things have changed and we're making the assumption that they still have money and they can, print money, but maybe they can't. And that's why they're doing it. So, again, keep an open mind.
Yeah, that's a point there, Alan. I think that's correct what you say. But I think that what they might do and what the real plans are, maybe there is a fraction and a war going on between fractions of the cabal. And maybe a fraction of the cabal has other plans, or the power is being passed over to another fraction. We simply cannot tell because we're not inside,
Exactly. And, there is intel out there and people talking about it. But again, you kind of keep an open mind and listen to what's being said by guests and stuff like that. And then, have a think about it and logically have a think about it. But we don't know for sure. And we probably will never know because we're not in there. We don't know what's going on. But you have to apply Occam Razor's theory, where you take the most probable. And, if they're selling stuff they don't need to sell that you've had for 140 years, well, that kind of raises a kind of question mark as to why would you sell your personal jewelry, which land would be for them, because you can't create land. Land is land. Right. It's there. And they're selling it. So, again, it's just one of these things and one of these conundrums that we can have a think about.
Yeah, you can speculate about it, but like I was saying, when you own the bank, you you can create money out of nothingness. So
but again, Matt, do they own the bank now? Have things changed where they don't own the bank anymore?
I've not heard anything to that effect, that the banking system has somehow changed hands or changed structure.
Yeah, well, it's just we've heard that there has been changes, and that's why they're in the situation they're in now. Is it true? I don't know, but we have heard from Intel inside that there has been changes going on. So again, keep an open mind. It's just, we can't make assumptions, based on what has gone on historically with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. So maybe there are changes. Maybe Trump and maybe his team or other people in the background, things are going on that we're not aware of, because there is stuff going on that won't be on the internet, that you can Google all day and you won't find it. There's stuff going on that isn't on the internet. Sure. And the only way you'll find out is by speaking to somebody who might have some inside information. So again, it's all about kind of keeping an open mind and not making assumptions and saying, okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, I'll entertain that thought. I won't believe it, but I want to see the facts. And if you can show me the facts, then okay, then I'll believe it.
That's fine with me. And I think Leo Zagami might be a good insight into what's really going on behind the scenes. He's a Grand Master of an Illuminati order, and he suggests that his books, written in Italian there, helped take down Pope Ratzinger. He's an insider, if there ever was one, and maybe we can try to get him on, ask him.
Well, I can contact Leo. Actually sent a copy of his latest book to me, and I actually have it for reading. And the plan of attack is for me to read his book and then get him on the show. Now, I have started reading his book, but it's so detailed. It's, you're really going all over the place. There's so much detail in his book. But I felt that I needed to read his 3 other books to understand this book. Because there's so many, groups within a group, and there's so much of this stuff going on. But why not? Let's see if we can get Leo. I can contact Leo and see if we can get him on maybe and have a chat with him.
Yeah, I liked talking to him. He's not afraid of mentioning names, times, and places. He is an insider if there is one, and then I think we would have better intel from him.
Now, guys, what are you thinking about the financial crash kind of thing which is happening? I mean, I stumbled upon the Drudge report on 666. The Dow Jones went down 666 points. So, what is behind that? Is this just a show for the time being, or is this the real beginning of the changes in the financial system? What's your point of view?
My estimation is that they brought that stock market up, and it's into record territory. And what we're seeing now is, I think, profit taking. Personally, that's what I think is happening now. If it continues to drop, then it's could be the intentional crash by the powers that be. But from what I'm seeing is that people just are selling off stocks that they bought low because now they're highly valued, and put in that back in their pockets.
Yeah. Could also
too early to tell, though. Too early to tell, really.
To the Rothschilds that they wanted to cash in.
It could be.
I need. We don't know. Yeah, and the same thing is with Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin was also in the highest tunes, and then immediately or suddenly, better to say, suddenly it crashed down. So it is
another bubble.
A little bit, but Another bubble.
Like the dot-com bubble. We saw that one coming. The housing bubble, we saw that one coming. The stock market was a bubble because there's really nothing behind the investments. You're investing in these companies hoping they turn a profit. Well, if there's no profitability in those countries, you're just creating an artificial bubble. And I'm thinking this is what we're seeing is just profit taking. People just taking that investment money back in their wallets.
I think so.
We'll
I have to agree with Matt there. Just jump in there about the stock market. That's obviously being manipulated. Reason being, because Matt knows all these stores are shutting down. Walmart and a number of all these stores are shutting down branches all over the place. So how can the stock market be high up when all these stores are shutting down? So it must be the bubble, and they must be manipulating it. So when Donald Trump comes and says, "Oh yeah, the stock market's going really up," well, I mean, Matt will tell you all the companies that are shutting down branches left, right, and centre. Over here in the UK, in Ireland, in the UK, there's a company called Carillion, which is a construction company, and they're in debt for something like $1 billion, and they've been linked to so many different contracts. There's even contracts over here in Ireland that have been shut down. There's a school that has been built down the road, not far from me, and everybody's gone. Everybody's gone off site. Everything's literally closed down because of this Carillion. But all the directors, they got all the bonuses. But all the companies and the staff who are working for Carillion, now either companies are going to go bang because they're going to be creditors who won't get paid, or staff who are working for them who've just been let off a week's notice. That's it. Bang, you're gone. So there's a lot going on, and so I don't, as Matt said, it's a bubble, because all these companies closing down, it doesn't make sense.
Well, what is about the pedophilia issue? I mean, the Pizzagate, Pedogate, what have you. I mean, lots of top managers resigned recently from banks, from big corporations, and so forth. They might be involved, even some politicians. So what is behind this Pizzagate, Pedogate development, the revelations about that? What is your opinion?
Do you want
to? Okay, yeah, well, I think pedophilia is disgusting, but if you look at what's going on, in order to get to the upper levels of politics or capitalism, it seems that you have to be corruptible and corrupted and blackmailable, and you have to participate in these activities that most people find disgusting. And pedophilia is probably used as that mechanism to control people and to allow, once they know that you're corruptible like that, then they allow you into the hierarchy of these organizations. You look at, for example, what was I thinking? The Congress. When the freshman congressmen get to Washington, they're immediately taken to Israel, and Israel is well known for having child sex rings and sex slaves. And it's my guess, and this is only a guess, is that these freshman congressmen are taken to Israel and either filmed being with children or having sex with children, and then that makes them blackmailable, and then they pledge their fealty to Israel in order to maintain their control. And I think we saw hints of that when Ron Paul said he went to Israel, and they tried to hook him up with some male prostitute. So I don't know. I think it's just is their way of controlling the people at the top so that they play along. So because they don't want to be outed as pedophiles, my estimation.
Well, I think that's only one aspect. That's a practical aspect of it, but there is also another aspect that is feeding the beast. These practices have been going on for centuries, for thousands of years, and they do this because they want to align and give energy to these dark forces. However you want to call them, or Ahriman or Lucifer, they're two different beings, or the Asuras or Sorath, And if you write down the word Sorat in Hebrew language, then, and you have to go backwards, of course, then it comes out the figure of 666. When you write it with Kabbalistic, you assign every value to the Hebrew alphabet. Then when you spell the sun demon Sorat, it comes out 666. And the reason why these people do it, because then they get assistance from these negative forces, but over in the upper echelon only, not the lower grades, so to speak, but the higher grades. They get connections to these forces, and they get sort of intuitive knowledge, what to do and how to fool the people and what to do next. So for them, it's access to a guideline, what to do in order to, make people slaves or to rule over people.
I think you're right. I mean, I've heard that before, and there might be something to that. I've heard of a lot of other people like David Icke say that, they feed off this negative energy to provide themselves with more power. Or you look at Alex Jones's work with the Bohemian Grove. He went and filmed that. If they believe it, then that's what it means to them. That doesn't mean it's true, but if they believe it, that's why they do it.
Oh, well, the fact is that they have a very close connection to these things, and they know that mechanic works. We got talked into materialism where these things don't count. I mean, we've been taught to be agnostics. But I mean, when you a little bit become sensitive that, the spirit world exists, every thought is a reality. And with your thought, you create a reality as well. So your thoughts count, your feelings count, and your actions count, because you create a cosmos out of that. It's substance where the God forces are working, a reality. And when you become aware of it, then you be careful what you think. And when you think about things like horror movies and things like this, they create a reality. So we are human beings. We are shaped in the image of God, and God is creating reality through thoughts, through thought life. So if God thinks hot iron, there is hot iron. Now, if I think hot iron and I have this consciousness, I'd be careful because I can burn myself. So these are aspects which we have to take into account. So it goes way into the occult, and these people have you cannot fool them. They have contact to these negative demonic forces, and when you get close to them, you can feel it.
Yeah. Well, we have a question here from the chat room. I put it in here, and on top of the hour, we are going into a musical break, just for your information. This is by Yarlov. Yes, has any of you ever read what the Jesuits swear to? This is disgusting because they believe and pray to Satan. I mean, Aleister Crowley and Albert Pike should be known to you by now. This is common knowledge amongst you, or what is your point of view? Matt?
Well, I've read about the Jesuits. I'm not convinced that they're the ones in control of the world. They might have their own agenda, but they may have influence within our, upper echelons of government and society. But I don't know that they're the ones in control.
Alan?
Well, just on the topic that you were talking there about the pedogate, I think what Michael said as well is very important. We're all energy. And a common mistake that people forget about, if you're not familiar with the spiritual side and the energy, is the negative attacks that you can suffer from. I've been psychically attacked, so I know what it feels like. And people have to be aware that you have to have your own protection. You have to know how to protect yourself energetically, not just physically. Because people will negatively attack you, even if they don't know they're doing it. I mean, you have energy vampires out there who will suck your energy. So you have to be aware of this stuff. And a lot of people aren't. They're very naive towards that and don't understand it. Now, the whole pedogate thing is, again, about taking energy and control. To climb the ladder, as what Matt said, you have to be corruptible. There is five things that they look for to corrupt you, and I can remember 4 of them, and maybe one of you guys can remember the 5th one. But it's there's money, sex, religion, and politics, and there is a 5th one as well, which they use. They will look at you and they'll say, right, this everybody has a certain level of integrity. What is the value of your integrity? How much is it for you to do the Judas and put your integrity to one side? Is it worth 2 million, 5 million, 10 million? And if you have good integrity, then what they do is they'll get you drunk, stick you in the bedroom, throw in, send in a couple of kids, and then take a few photos, and there's the blackmail.
Yeah.
And we know they do it because they've done it before on a number of people for control, and that's how they do it. You don't get to the top unless you are controlled or manipulated. And it's about energy as well. I mean, Credo Mutwa, who was interviewed by David Icke, who's a Zulu chief, was talking about, they love the boys under the age of 10 because they take their energy by abusing the kids.
Yeah.
And when this like youth energy. Now we've talked about, I've mentioned before on the show about the Kool-Aid, and people thought, we were mad when we mentioned about the blood being, in the Kool-Aid to keep people young. Well, I only seen an advertisement in America of a company actually selling blood from young people for people to keep them young. They're actually doing it now. They're actually blatantly advertising it that people can take young blood and put it in them to keep them young. And this is what the elites were doing for centuries. It's the Kool-Aid, drinking the blood.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So keep your thoughts. We're going into a break. We're now on top of the hour, which will give us 4 minutes, and then we are back with live show and live discussion. So stay tuned.
United We Start. We explore the new world order, finance, science, health, and other subjects in our group discussions of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Looking forward to meeting you.